Morning everybody, how are you doing? It's a lovely day here, really sunny and warming up as well, and there's a bit of a cold wind coming, but generally it's going to be a good weekend and a good week ahead for the garden. So since last time we spoke, lots has happened. The garden really has shot up, and you'll see that in a minute. Bought a few new plants, visited a few gardens, went to Wisley. I was just Wisley for the first time last weekend, and this week went to Chelsea Flower Show, which was fantastic. And I've got some photos about that I'll share on the blog and in the video as well. And just really picking up bits and pieces here, there, everywhere. I want to thank those people, mainly people I worked with over the last sort of 3 or 4 years who got me a present when I changed jobs a month or so ago. The vouchers haven't all been spent yet, but some of them have, and really lovely thoughts, so thank you for that. They're going to go to good use, and I'll show you in a future video what I've done with the vouchers. But for now, let's wander around the garden, and I'll pop back at the end to round things off. So it's late May here, which means the last frosts should almost have passed, and it's time to start thinking about putting these tomatoes out in the garden. I've done that with a handful of them. The rest will go out into larger pots in the coming sort of week or two. I've just potted these all these rosellas and superomas into larger pots. They're not really as far advanced as I'd like them to be, and that partly is because I think I put them in too early. So planting in February, the tomatoes then are not as strong as the ones I planted in March, which are much stronger. So a little lesson learned there for me, just to sort of hold off a little bit longer. Vicky Gardner, you were right. Keep holding off, because they always catch up. And then looking into the raised bed, you can see how these are starting to get much healthier. And if I put my hand against that, it's up to about, I don't know, about 9 inches, maybe 10 inches. So it's getting there, and we know it gets all the way up pretty much the top of this pole in about a month's time. So keep an eye on this, but looking healthy. Looks like the fennel is going to come good, which is fantastic. First time we've grown fennel all the way through the winter. The quince is looking good. Stopped flowering now. You missed all the flowering of the quince, but we're starting to see some of the fruits pop through. On the fern front, they are taking over this area. Last year didn't look like this. They really are smothering everything, so we're having to cut them back regularly to make sure that the other plants here have a chance. Sea holly is coming through as well, and that will mean this sort of coastal garden that we were going for will start to take a bit of shape. Won't be this year, it'll probably be next year, but we've got a few grasses in here to give it a bit of life, and a heuchera here, which has done really well. And last time you saw this, it really was just a little dot. The borage has really come into bloom, and you can see here, if you look closely, the leaves have got mildew on them, and that's very common for borage. And I asked somebody at Chelsea this week what I should do, and they said pretty much it's down to the weather over the winter. If it's wet and damp, there's a good chance you're going to get mildew. There's not much you can do about it. You can mulch really well, that might help, but other than that, live with it. Don't cut them back, don't cut the leaves off, because as you can see, the bees absolutely adore it, and there's no harm in having a few bees on, even if there's a bit of mildew, and it doesn't spread to the other plants. So if you see that it looks a bit unsightly, don't worry. Behind that we've got the California poppies giving us that orange, yellowy orange, and then down here the snapdragon's giving us a real bright yellow, and behind that you can see the pink snapdragon, so real colour here. This is a new addition-ish. This is the bloody ploughman, an apple we bought from a nursery about a month ago. It's taken in well, and you can see behind, hopefully, our first eating apple, a bloody ploughman. There's a story behind that that I'll tell you as I walk round. So there was a ploughman who was scrumping apples from the landowner's estate in Scotland. The landowner saw him out the window, shot him. The ploughman fell over, and where the apple dropped and the seed popped out, an apple tree grew, and the blood fell over it, and that is what became known as the bloody ploughman. So we'll see that in a couple of months' time, or 3 months' time probably, and we'll see what it tastes like. Then moving up, more bees, some lovely nigella just popping through, just giving a nice little sort of zing of blue. Foxgloves as well, so we're starting to get that shape coming through. And this yarrow, sorry, just avoiding a bee there, yarrow giving a lovely bit of structure, especially when it comes right next to the artichoke. And if you look inside the artichoke, you'll see we've got our food coming soon. I'm looking forward to that in probably about a month's time. That'll be coming. And then wandering up, we've got sweet peas. I've been deadheading the sweet peas. Remember, that's the rules. Sweet peas, deadhead. As soon as you see a flower, take it off early on because you'll get many more flowers. The salvia in front looking good as well, about to give us a bit of colour. Poppies, they'll come in time. Our first cosmos. Not a great year for cosmos this year, not really grown as many as I'd like to, so it's not going to be a bumpy cosmos year, but still look okay. And then we've got our salvia amistad, the first spears of those, give us a bit of colour, and they overwintered, so I'm really glad that they lasted, because I know that Montes don't really do that, so it's good to see. But, we can keep them going here, and then a few roses, and another little salvia we got from Chelsea last year, which is fantastic. Hollyhocks will come in time. And this is the geum that we grew from seed last year, lovely red geum, which again gives a little zing of red up the garden. And next to it we can start to see the Verbena bonariensis, the little bubbles on top. That will give us some fun and some structure as the year goes on. And then moving through swiftly now, we've got our jostaberries hidden under here, not colouring yet, and then the cherries behind, which is starting to colour. So the next job for these really is to start netting them. And I saw a squirrel this morning in the garden, so we know they're not far away from causing havoc. And then down below here, first signs of strawberries. So that's something to look forward to. At the back, various little bits of white in the white garden with the jasmine. And we've got a nice hop growing right up the fence, and hope that's going to go across and give us some flowers as we move through into the summer. A few more white geraniums and white lavender in front of that, which are going to come soon hopefully. And then swinging around quickly, we've got the crabapple, which hasn't given us any fruit yet and probably won't, but looks lovely. And this lovely hedge grass, so the hedge, again structurally, just add something to it. It's really nice the way it hangs over. And it goes from green into that sort of brown and picks up the colours of everything around it as we move through with the forget-me-nots behind. And we've got black currants, not colouring yet, so I don't need to net them just yet, but not far off. And the red currants and the gooseberries, and there really are going to be a bumper crop of gooseberries this year. And finally, this lovely little corner here where we've got the Elysium in front, London Pride behind. Well, that's all for this week. Hope you enjoyed that. Lots and lots of change, and doing it monthly means there's so much to capture, but hopefully you enjoyed all of that. Behind me you might be able to see our front garden, which is a little bit different to how it was last time. We've taken up all the slates. We're going to put raised beds in here and make it into a real garden at the front as well, so that you can join with the raised bed there with all the herbs in it. So next time you see us, all the slates should have gone. We might have raised beds in, and we'll put some flowers in here for the winter. But that's all for now. Bye for now.